Hello again. So I'm back. I'm going to do something similar to what I've done before. So I'm doing another what's in my bag. This time I'm going to do it a little bit different. This is the worst gear that I own. So it's very relative and this is unique to me. So nobody take offense if this is gear that you rate. This is just stuff that I've got that I don't really rate or that just doesn't fit into my gear anymore. So I'll unpack the bag and I'll show you what's inside. So as you can see, what I'll do is first off, I'll start off with the backpack. So this is the Solognag. I got this from Decathlon about 2 years ago. It was when I started wild camping again. It was very similar to a pack that I used to have. I was very much in the world of, oh, it's illegal, we have to wear all green and we have to be camouflaged. The pack I really didn't get along with from day one. It was quite expensive. I think I paid about £90 for it. And it just seems to lack a lot in features for me. The adjustability on the straps is really good for a fat lad like me. But other than that, there's no rear adjustment in any of these straps. Same with the hip belt, it's fixed. It does have big hip belt pockets, which is very useful. I do like that. But other than that, not very much in the way of features that I like about it. I'll show you the one on the hood. So, as you can see, there's a very, very tiny one in the hood. You can barely fit your hand in it, which is very difficult for packing anything. I honestly don't put anything in that, and it's probably 10 litres that are wasted. So other features, it does have big straps on the side for putting things in there on both sides. Once again, I don't really use it because you can see these pockets are very tight, so they're not very packable. Show you that from the side. So they're really, really tight, so there's not a great deal you can actually fit in there. It has carabiner loops on the front, which I have used, but once again, they're not great. Another thing I didn't like about this pack was it doesn't actually come with its own rain cover. So the rain cover that I've had for it, that I used, was from another pack. So it's, like I said, it's not very good. You all know that I like a big frontal zip as well. There's nothing like that. You've just got your standard draw cord. It's not even single hand operation. You'd need two hands to operate that. Small niggles, but for the price of this compared to other packs I've had, I just wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't buy it. I don't rate it at all. It also has no internal zip on the hood. It is just, the only way to access it is through that tiny pocket on the top. So gear inside the pack, the tent, this is going to be a very, very unpopular opinion, but for me, this is the most hyped up tent in the world. It's not a tent that I rate. I'll bring it closer, but as I said, it's the OEX Phoxx1. I know this has got a very big cult following, but for me, I find it's a very, very small tent. I don't find it very practical. The vestibules aren't useful for anything. They're very small. You may as well, for me, but for the weight of this, if I was having a tent that small, and I get the low profile and how stealthy it is, but if I was using a tent this small, I'd just get a bivvy bag. I don't see what world you need a I think it's a 1.2 kilo, 1.3 kilo tent. I'll add that in. But I don't see where you'd need a tent that big with a relatively big pack size that when pitched is so small. And I just find it's not a nice place to be in. It's too warm in the summer, too cold and too compact in the winter. For me, not a good tent. Like I said, this is relative. This is my views and my list. I know it does have a cult following, but for me, it's not something that it's my list. So next we've got my pillows. It's a Eurohike. It's one that I've got from Go Outdoors. It's just like a real pillow. The problem with this is, you can see, it's quite thin. When your head's on it, it turns to paper. Possibly would be useful with a blow-up one underneath it, but I find with the weight of this and with the pack size of it, I can get two blow-up pillows. As I've said before, I use the High Gear Comfort and the OEX Phoxx pillows, and the two of them combined weigh about the same as this, and the pack size is about the same. And all I do is just have one of them half inflated, and it's way comfier than this and way more practical. Next piece of kit, I'll stick with the bed stuff. So we have something that I've recently reviewed. I've said before, this is a product I got for free. I haggled with the company, said I wanted to test it, said I'd give an honest review. That is on my channel. This is the worst sleeping bag I own. It's not a bad sleeping bag by any means. It's a winter sleeping bag. It's very, very warm. The issues I've got, which I do cover in the video I've got, are all around the zips. They're very difficult to operate, and for some reason it's got 2 zips around the footbox, so you can't actually separate that and open it up into a quilt. It's a niggle, but all the other quilts and sleeping bags are brilliant. That's why this makes the bottom of my list. Doesn't mean by any means it's a bad bag. I just think for the money I could get better, and I do own a lot better. The sleep mats, this is one that will surprise you all. It's a mat that I rate. For summer, this is definitely my favourite mat. It's the comfiest mat I've ever owned. The reason this is at the bottom of my list is because I no longer own the OEX Phoxx 5.0, which I wouldn't waste a penny on because it's the worst night's sleep I've ever had. So this is my Trekology UL80. Very, very good mat. I'd highly recommend it to anybody. The reason this is my bottom of the list pad is because I don't really use it anymore. Now I've got the Nemo, and now I've got the Robin's foul guard. It doesn't meet my kit. I possibly will replace it though with another one of them in the summer, but it's popped. So I keep it for nostalgia purposes, but due to the fact that it is popped, it doesn't meet my gear. I may fix it one day, we'll see. But yeah, that's it. That's the bottom. Like I said, it would be the Phoxx 5.0, and I think that mat would hit bottom of any list for me, but I don't own that anymore. Still own this. For that purpose, this is my worst mat. Head torches, I don't really own any bad head torches, so this is the ONNIGHT. It's an OEX one. I think it's a 4-class one. It could be a Quezer. I get confused at what is what with OEX. It's an OEX with Go Outdoors. It's a Go Outdoors one. Reasons I don't really like this torch, it's not that I don't like it, it's not a bad torch, but it's battery operated rather than being rechargeable. It was about £5. I was bought it for the wife when we was going camping and we needed one. I find it not very bright, in either red or white LED. It doesn't really show anything, and it's battery operated, like I said. So that, for that reason, it's the bottom head torch I've got. But in a pinch, I'd still use it. Now for cooking, once again, another one that's going to surprise people. In theory, if I was going just stoves, I'd probably go with the BRS stove. I've not hidden my dislike for that stove from starting the channel. I think it's ridiculously, stupidly small. I don't think it's very good for cooking on. I found everything I cook on that I have to hold, but I also don't know where my BRS stove is because it's that small. I keep losing it. So a close second to that comes my Alpkit Bru Kit. I have took the snug off that, but that was because I was being a bit of a weight weenie and I didn't want to carry the extra weight. The reason this hits the bottom is I never use it once again. It's quite weighty for a stove. The same, and this would go for me with anything like the jet boils or anything like that. I find them quite weighty, fairly impractical. I get the use of them. I get that it boils water really quick. I really like the heat sinks that you get on the bottom of the pans. I just think they're not versatile. I like to cook proper meals when I'm out, and I like to take real food and challenge myself and seeing what I can cook while I'm out camping, and I find this is quite difficult to do that with. The pasta meal that I make with the sausage and stuff is easy to cook in this, but if I wanted to cook some steak or if I wanted some potato or something like that, it'd be quite difficult to do in this. So for me, that's why this is bottom. It's not a bad stove by any means. If I'm just going on a day hike and I'm having a brew, this generally hits my kit. I just think with the stoves I've got and the weight of this, I just don't think the weight is worth it. For less weight, I can carry my Fire Maple Polaris, which, as everybody knows, is my favourite stove in the world, and I can carry my titanium pans and it's less weight. In fact, for the same weight, I can probably carry the gas too. And they're very efficient, do a really good job, and they're so versatile because I've got a frying pan and a normal pan. So for that reason, this pan hits the bottom for me. Also within here, it's just a plastic spark. Nothing wrong with it, just not as good as my long-handled one. It's a bit short. Once again, for using a pot like this, it's just, you're going to get your hands covered in crap, and you don't really want that. So for that reason, that's the stove that hits. I don't really have any other gear, I don't think, with me on this one. I think that's it. So that is the loadout. That's my cheapest gear. It's, well, not cheapest, my worst gear. There's a variety of prices of stuff. For me, like I said, it's stuff that not necessarily is bad. It's my own personal preference, but it's stuff that I just wouldn't buy again, other than the UL80, which is just, that's there because it's popped. But the rest of it, it's just, I get with the Phoxx1 the cheapness of it, I do. And I get that people like to be stealthy. I just, for me, for not very much more money, I could get a Bobcat, which is a way better tent. And I don't care if you don't agree with me, because that's my opinion, and it is. And I just think it's a glorified bivvy bag that's trying to pretend to be a tent, and I don't get along with coffins. I don't see the point. So for me, that's an out. So that being said, thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next one.